Hey, before I load into a raid, I don't think about gear first. I think about what I'm trying to accomplish. The first decision is always the same. What quest am I doing? If a quest forces a specific item or weapon, that decision is already made for me. Something like setup completely overrides everything else. In that case, the loadout is there to serve the quest, not my preferences. If nothing is required, the next decision is the map. And from there, every slot starts to make sense. Let's take a look. Some things almost never change. I always bring my meds, I explain why in my meds video. I almost always have my red rebel because I love the easy extracts. And my special slots are usually the same 3 items. A Surf 12, a Paracord, and a green flare. Yes, that's sometimes inefficient, but after sitting in front of a flare extract without a flare a few times, this became a habit I don't question anymore. These items don't help me win fights, they help me finish the raid. Armor comes next. If the map allows for red rebel extracts, I usually run an armored rig. That option alone is often worth shaping the entire loadout around. In general, I rotate between the same 2 armors in PvE, the Osprey protection rig and the Courant, with the 6B45 now added as a third option in patch 1.0. Once I decided I want to run a normal armor instead of an armored rig, I need a tactical rig to support it. My default choice here is the load-bearing rig. If I need 3 slot max, I switch to something like the Alpha. Don't overthink it, simple decisions. Headwear is where things get more nuanced. If my goal is pure survival, I usually run an alt. The exception is labs. No insurance changes the equation completely. I run cheaper, or rather replaceable gear. On labs, I'll often use a Tagilla mask. An even cheaper setup would be the ULAG and the headset that works. Until recently, and especially when recording for YouTube, I mostly ran a CQCM, simply because it's less jarring to watch. Most of the time though, I'm running a Comtech 6 and a normal Class 4 helmet. With Frostbite now in the game, Tagilla mask plus beanie is becoming more and more interesting. Headwear usually isn't about tanking multiple shots. It's about surviving the one hit you didn't expect and make sure you are fully aware of your surroundings. My weapon choice is mostly map driven. On most maps I default to a 308 rifle, for example the MDR with a scope. It's predictable, it's reliable, and it works at distances where most fights resolve. Factory is the clear exception. There I want full auto, a red dot, and 60 round max. For woods and lighthouse, especially when dealing with the rogue camp, I strongly prefer a thermal. I'll usually bring 1 or 2 grenades. Enough to solve problems, or rather, just enough to not overpack. Magazines and ammo are light intentional. Most of the time I bring 2 spare mags and a stack of ammo. That's it. Lots of space for loot. If I expect bosses, like on Interchange or Factory, I'll add a 3rd spare mag. For very long runs with multiple quests, I sometimes bring an extra stack of ammo. Shoreline in particular has punished me for not doing this before. Less ammo doesn't make you weaker. It makes you selective and more careful with your shots. Again, and the added benefit that you can fit more loot. Some maps change everything. On reserve, depending on the quest, I'll often play night raids with NVGs. It simplifies a lot of the objectives dramatically. Glua not being able to see me at night and getting my quests done on safe routes makes the map 10 times more enjoyable. Labs is different again. Most of the time I run cheaper, easily replaceable loadouts here. The map itself isn't hard, but no insurance and the entry fee changes how aggressive I want to be with my loadout. There are exceptions of course. For quests like the Guide or Terror Group Employee, I run strong gear on purpose. Not because I need it, but because I want to give myself the highest possible chance of getting out. Backpacks are the decision most players got wrong in the past, including myself. Now by default, and especially for PvE, I advocate for the biggest possible bag. You give yourself the option to bring out as much loot as possible to make these unicorn runs really count. But sometimes being light is the actual play, especially when I want to limit myself from looting. In those cases, I either run no backpack at all, or just bring a takedown. In PvP, this is one of the go-to backpacks. It's light, low profile, and it still lets you carry surprisingly large items. Additionally, you usually don't overpack with this one. Being able to sprint can be tremendously important. My secure container is almost always identical. Stims, except for labs where I run a second stim case and clean out my main one, only keeping the Propital to make as much room as possible for all of the stims sitting around in labs. Food and water, self-explanatory, saves me from running dry or hungry, and a docs case with the relevant keys for the map. Keys will be in a different video, so stay tuned for that. Last but not least, a long duration painkiller. Every slot has a job. If it doesn't come with me. Except for those special slots where my brain has failed me a couple of times before. And I'm done forgetting the stupid flares. So I want to be clear about one thing. This is not about copying my loadout. It's about understanding the order of decisions. Quest first, sometimes the quests already decide for you. Map second, think about what you actually want to accomplish in that raid. And then every slot supports that choice. It's about making deliberate decisions. You might bring 10 grenades, you might bring 300 rounds every raid. That's fine, as long as you know why. Once you start thinking this way, Tarkov stops feeling random. You don't react as much, you decide, and you learn from those decisions for the next raid. I hope this gave you a small insight into how I think about the game. If it helped, like and subscribe for more Tarkov PVE content. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.